Welcome to the Autism ADHD podcast. It's the place to be for neurodiversity affirming parents and professionals. I'm your host, Holly Blanc-Moses, the mom neurodivergent therapist. Here we chat about emotional regulation, mental health, social support, executive functioning, learning, and more, all aimed at empowering us to support kids and teens with compassion and understanding. I'm thrilled that you joined me today, and I've got some pretty exciting news to share with you. For those rock star therapists listening right now, I've created continuing education training that is tailor-made for you. Take a deep dive into cutting-edge strategies that you can start using today. The CEs you've wanted for so long are finally here. Go to hollyblancmoses.com/CE training and sign up. You are going to love it. The link is also available in the show notes. Now, if you are a parent or educator listening and you know a therapist or a psychologist that is passionate about supporting kids and teens, I greatly appreciate it if you could pass on this great news. Thanks so much again for your support. And let's get started. Welcome back to the Autism ADHD podcast. Thank you for your continued support because you're the reason I show up every time. And if you are a new listener, welcome. You have definitely picked an interesting episode to start with because we're going to be talking about some sensitive topics. It's a good idea for you to take a listen before you share it with your child, the family member, whoever that is. That being said, let's roll in to some Holly stories and the impact of not knowing what to do, not knowing the names of things, examples of what can happen when there isn't open communication with neurodivergent kids. First, I want to talk about sex. Imagine this. I am 9 years old and I have been practicing for a whole month. I was so excited because it was the student talent show. This was the night, the big night. Everyone gathered. All the parents are sitting there in their fold-out chairs. Students are there. Teachers are there. The principal is there. And I thought, this is my turn to shine. It's my turn to show my talent. I walk up with a hop in my step, put in the cassette tape in the boombox, and I press play. I chose Madonna's Like a Virgin. If you're about my age, you know that song. I tried the best I could to reenact the MTV video. I was on the floor, rolling around. I am singing this thing as Madonna played in the background. Now, when I opened my eyes to check in with my audience, I see their mouths were like wide open. Their eyes were big. And I thought, I am so good, so talented. They are just speechless. They don't even know what to do. They are wowed by my talent. Of course, now I look back and realize that I did not know what the word virgin meant. I imagined that the parents, teacher, students, and the principal were actually horrified. They weren't just blown away by my talent. I didn't tell anyone what song I was doing. No one had any clue. They just knew that I was going to put music in and sing a song. No one even asked me what song I was doing. It was a bit of a shock, I think, to everyone. Now, if I felt like I could have checked in with someone and asked, what do you think about this? If there had been some kind of check in with me rule, then I probably would have, but I didn't even know to do that. Another example is from middle school, where there was a boy I liked and we were kissing. We were kissing for a while, like 15 minutes or something. And he stops and looks at me and he says, oh no, I am going to have blue balls. If you don't touch me, I will die. It will literally kill me. And I didn't want to touch him. All the thoughts that I had in my head were, oh my goodness, I like him. I don't want him to die. I feel really bad. I don't even know what I did wrong. I'd never heard that term before. He didn't explain it. No one had ever talked to me about it. And I didn't feel like there was anyone I could ask about it either, because I didn't want to get in trouble for kissing. And I didn't have anyone that I could just ask that question to and feel okay about it and safe about it. So I spent the next several weeks wondering when the police were going to come and arrest me for murder. I had no idea when this boy was just going to die, because apparently I had done something that was so terrible that it was going to kill him. I was constantly worried. Am I going to get a long sentence for murder? What if he just ends up in the hospital? Will I just be in jail for 10 years? How's the food going to be? Will anyone come visit me? What's going to happen? I didn't know if he was going to be alive. I didn't say anything. I didn't tell anyone. And then I figured he was fine because he did show up every day at school. And he didn't look sick. He wasn't in the hospital. But I didn't feel like I could ask anybody. And that was a huge stressor, as you can imagine. It was really awful. I want to move on to misunderstandings when it comes to drugs. It was the 80s. We weren't allowed in the house until it was dinner time. So we had to go out and do something. And I would sit in the front of the elementary school. It had this gold shiny sign that said no loitering, but I thought it said no littering. I would sit there for hours to prevent people littering. I had to catch them to make sure that everyone was following the rules. And there was a kid, he was older, middle school or something, and he would come and sit there too, which was hilarious because, again, the sign said no loitering. One day, he asked me if I wanted to try his drink. It was in a plastic cup. I asked, what is it? He said, it's grain. And I had just learned about the food groups. And I knew that rice was a grain and that I didn't like rice. So that's how I put it together. I said, no, no, thanks. I don't really like grain. He looked at me a little bit funny, and I didn't think anything of it. Ultimately worked out. Later on, I found out that the grain alcohol he was drinking was 190 proof. 190 proof was later banned in our state in 2005. Now, if I would have liked rice, it would have been a completely different story. I would have drunk it. It can be helpful to talk with kids about saying no to someone else's drink until you check in with a trusted adult. In high school, I remember sitting in study hall, and these two guys were talking about weed and how expensive it was. And I thought, oh, here's an opportunity for me to talk to them. Here's an opportunity for me to be helpful. So I said, I can get you weed. That's no problem. And they looked so happy. They were smiling. They were talking to me. I said, I'll bring you a bag to school if you want. They looked kind of shocked, but also excited about it. They said, what about getting in trouble? I said, I don't care. It's not a big deal. I'll just give it to you. And again, they were super excited about it. And I was super excited because we were chatting. We had never really talked before. Nate kept asking me, "Are you sure?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course." My dad makes me pick that stuff out from the sidewalks all of the time. So annoying. I have to do it every week. It's no problem. I can absolutely get that for you. I have a bunch of weeds. They looked at me like I was the most ridiculous human on the face of this earth because we were talking about two different things. We were using the same words, but talking about two completely different things. And it was hard for me to live that one down. I can laugh about it now. I'm going to jump to my junior year in high school. I love to listen to The Cure. I mean, they are pretty fabulous. I would listen to my cassette tape over and over and over again. I knew all the words. When they were coming to the Starlight Amphitheater, I was just so excited. So I went, and I'm pretty sure I was the only person that was not high. I'm at this concert, and some guy came up to me, and he had this raggedy old cigarette, like somebody hand rolled it and ran over it with a car. And he held it up and said, "Do you want this roach?" It was this awkward pause. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to do. I'd never heard of that before. And I knew that he was a stranger. So I know it wasn't a good idea to do whatever he was offering me. But I also didn't want to look silly because of the whole weed thing that had happened before. I said, "I'm so glad you offered. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming up to me and wanting to share with me. But I don't smoke roach." I knew a roach was a bug, and I definitely didn't want to smoke a bug, but I didn't think he was smoking a bug, but I didn't know what it was. And he looked at me strange. I thought maybe I'm just not being clear. So I said it again. "I don't smoke roach." Then he just walked away. After the concert, my dad asked, "How did it go?" I said, "Well, this guy didn't know. He offered to share something with me, but I didn't know what it was. And roaches are gross, but I don't think it was a bug. But he asked me if I wanted a roach. And I said that I don't smoke roach." My dad could not stop laughing. And then he explained it to me. Now, you are not going to be able to catch everything, right? But saying if you don't know what something is, don't take it, don't swallow it, don't drink it. Just check in with me. And if I don't know the answer, we'll figure it out together. There are so many confusing things that happen throughout the day. People say things all the time and assume that neurodivergent kids know what they're talking about, but they might say they understand because they've been teased, bullied, or called dumb before. We use terms that mean different things. We use slang. We're not clear. We often say vague things. They are confused a lot of the time, and that's overwhelming. But then they're also scared to ask because it seems like everyone else knows the answer. So often we go through a lot of life, especially when we're younger, wondering what on earth is going on. And we feel like there's really nobody we can ask. Are we going to ask a question and then get in trouble? Are we going to be told that's inappropriate? Don't talk about it, but I'm not going to give you any more information than that. It gets so confusing. Let's show up for our neurodivergent kids. Let's show them that it's safe to ask us anything. They don't have to be worried about asking for more information. They don't have to worry about telling us when someone offers them something and they weren't sure what to do. Last but not least, ask them what they're going to do in the talent show. These are all really important things that we need to think about. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye. If you found this podcast helpful, I greatly appreciate it if you could take a second to give it a 5-star review. With your positive feedback, I can continue bringing you free, valuable information. As an extra thanks to you for sticking around, there are special gifts waiting for you in the show notes. You'll find links to free resources on supporting neurodivergent kids, so come on down to the show notes and get your free resources. Take care, and I look forward to seeing you next time.
All content provided is protected under applicable copyright, patent, trademark, and other proprietary rights. All content is provided for informational and educational purposes only. No content is intended to be a substitute for professional medical or psychological diagnosis, advice, or treatment. Information provided does not create an agreement for service between Holly Blanc Moses Crossvine Clinical Group, the interviewee, Holly Blanc Moses LLC, and the recipient. Consult your physician regarding the applicability of any opinions or recommendations with respect to your symptoms or medical condition or the symptoms or medical condition of your family member. Children or adults who show signs of dangerous behavior toward themselves and/or others should be placed immediately under the care of a qualified professional.